Welcome back to the Scream Files. Today we are covering the disturbing case of John Jones in the Nutty Putty Cave incident. On November 24, 2009, a 26-year-old medical student named John Edward Jones became trapped in one of Utah's most infamous cave systems. What started as a family outing turned into a desperate and ultimately tragic rescue attempt that would capture national attention and result in the permanent closure of the cave. This is the detailed account of what happened in the Nutty Putty Cave and why John Jones never came out. Nutty Putty Cave is located about 55 miles southwest of Salt Lake City, near Utah Lake. Discovered in 1960 by Dale Green, it quickly became a popular site for recreational caving, known as spelunking, for locals and adventurers alike. The cave itself is a hydrothermal cave stretching roughly 1,400 feet in length. While not the largest, Nutty Putty is famous, or perhaps infamous, for its narrow passageways and tight vertical tunnels. Before the 2009 incident, the cave had already seen its share of accidents. In fact, by 2004, at least 6 people had become seriously stuck in the cave's tight passages, requiring complicated rescues. One of the cave's most notorious sections, called the Birth Canal, had trapped multiple people in the past. Due to these dangers, Nutty Putty Cave had been temporarily closed to the public in 2006. It was reopened in May 2009, just 6 months before the Jones incident, with a reservation system in place to help manage access. John Edward Jones was an experienced caver. A former Boy Scout and a student at the University of Virginia School of Medicine, John was in Utah visiting family for Thanksgiving. He, along with his brother Josh and a group of friends and relatives, decided to explore the Nutty Putty Cave on the evening of November 24th. They entered the cave around 8 p.m. As the group explored the cave, John decided to try navigating a section known as Ed's Push. He believed it might be the entrance to the well-known Birth Canal, a passage he had passed through before. But what John didn't realize was that he had entered an uncharted and even narrower section of the cave, a dangerous funnel-like passage that tapered down into a space only 10 inches high and 18 inches wide. At approximately 8:30 p.m., while attempting to inch his way headfirst through this narrow corridor, John became lodged upside down in a space about 400 feet from the cave entrance and 100 feet below the surface. He had wriggled into the crevice but could not wriggle back out. To make matters worse, his position, nearly vertical, with his head downward, meant that his body was under immense physical strain. Blood was rushing to his head, and his legs were pinned above him. This position would gradually impair circulation and breathing. His brother Josh, the first to find him, tried to pull him out by his legs, but had no luck. Realizing the severity of the situation, Josh left to contact emergency services. The first rescuers arrived around midnight. What followed was a more than 24-hour operation involving over 100 personnel, including search and rescue teams, paramedics, and technical caving experts. The rescue teams faced multiple obstacles. The cave's tight, twisting pathways made it impossible to bring in large equipment. Rescuers had to descend vertically and crawl horizontally through narrow tunnels just to reach John. They attempted multiple strategies to free him. They used a pulley system attached to anchor points drilled into the cave wall. They tried to lubricate the passage with oil and gel to reduce friction. They even used a rope and pulley rigging system to try and pull him upward inch by inch. At one point, they managed to extract John about 12 inches, but he quickly slid back down due to the narrow angle and pressure. John remained alert and talking for the first several hours. He reportedly prayed and spoke to his rescuers, thanking them for their efforts and expressing hope for survival. However, the inverted position placed severe strain on his cardiovascular system. After about 8 hours upside down, blood began pooling in his head, and pressure on his internal organs increased. He began to experience difficulty breathing, along with hallucinations and lapses in consciousness. To make matters worse, around 24 hours into the operation, one of the anchors supporting the pulley system failed. The drill used had been designed for wood, not rock. This mechanical failure caused a setback that the rescue team could not recover from. John became unresponsive shortly after. At approximately midnight on November 25th, he was declared dead due to cardiac arrest brought on by restricted blood flow and physical trauma. Following John's death, it was determined that recovery of his body would be too dangerous. The effort required to extract his remains would have risked the lives of additional rescuers. As a result, Nutty Putty Cave was permanently sealed. John's body remains inside to this day, entombed within the passage where he became trapped. A plaque placed at the cave's sealed entrance honors his life. The Nutty Putty Cave incident sparked a broader conversation about the dangers of recreational caving. It led to tighter regulations, better safety training, and reconsideration of which cave systems should be accessible to the public. John Edward Jones is remembered not only for the tragedy of his death, but for the grace and courage he exhibited in his final hours. His story has been the subject of documentaries, safety lectures, and a 2016 film titled The Last Descent. John's death was preventable. His story remains one of the most haunting reminders of how quickly nature can turn fatal, even for those who come prepared. Nutty Putty Cave is now a tomb, both physically and symbolically, forever linked to a young father whose final moments were spent in darkness, prayer, and hope. Let me know what you think about this tragic case in the comments below, and for more deep dives, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss out on the latest video. Until next time, stay aware and stay safe.